Hello guys, welcome back to Mr. Deep Coding channel. I hope you are doing amazing. Now, this is part 6 of the social media app series, and today we'll be working on the Android UI home screen. In case you haven't seen the design, let me quickly show you what we'll be building in today's episode. Okay, so we'll first of all start with the home screen. Where we have an onboarding section and also some trending posts in case a user hasn't followed anyone yet. Before we get started, I want you to open your build.cradle.kts file under the Android app module. Now you need to include this coil compose dependency for loading remote images. And also one more thing is that you will need to add these icons to your drawable folder, the one that you see in green color. You can get them directly from my GitHub repository. Okay, so I think that's all you need to add for now, and we can get started. All right, so here we're going to start with the home screen. So as you can see, we'll first of all start with the onboarding section, and for that, let me go back inside Android Studio. I want you first of all to open the common package. All right, so we first of all need to create one package here that I will name fake data. Now inside this package, we are going to model. What am I doing? Okay, fake data. Now inside this package, we are going to put all the models and sample that we'll be using for our UI until we build our backend. So we'll need to have kind of fake data to actually test our UI and see if everything is working perfectly. All right, so inside this fake data, I'm going to create a first Kotlin file and that I will name follows user. Now on this follows user, we'll model this user here that we would like to suggest for our user to follow when they land inside our app for the very first time. Now I'm going to paste some of the data that I already copied from my demo app. So here, as you can see, this follows user model class has an ID, name, profile URL, and a boolean, whether they're already following this user or not. I mean, when they click on the follow button, then we'll change this to is following true. All right, so I'm going to also create one more Kotlin file that I will name post. Now here I'm going to paste a post model because as you can see, like we would like also to model these post items. And for that, I'm going also to copy some of data that I already have from my demo application. So I will paste them here. Just a normal post with an ID, text, image, URL, date, and etc. All right, so I'm going to close both of them. Then I want you to open the common package, component package instead. And here we're going to create a Kotlin file that I will name onboarding. We shouldn't create that inside our components package, but instead I want you to open the home package. Then we're going to create one package that we'll call onboarding. Since the onboarding, we will be showing that only inside our home screen. I'm going just to create one more package inside this home package. So we'll call that onboarding, and inside that onboarding package, I want you to create a Kotlin file that will name onboarding user item like so. Can we just put a capital B like so? Okay, select file and hit enter. All right, so for this onboarding user item, so first of all, let's add a composable of the same name, onboarding user item, and we will need a modifier like always. So now let's see what else do we need here. Alright, so we also need a follows user. Then we will take an on user click to navigate to the profile screen. We'll pass the follows user. What am I doing? Okay, follows user. Then we will also have is following the boolean. We'll set that to false by default, and lastly we'll need a unfollow button click. For that we'll need to pass a boolean and also a follows user. Alright, so after this we'll need to declare a card view in which we're going to have a column to line everything vertically. So this card view will pass a modifier, and the height will be 140 dp, and let's import dp, and the width 130 dp, and we make this clickable, and we will call on user click and pass the follows user like so. Now we can also pass an elevation, and we will set that to 0 dp. Now inside this card view we'll need a column, and we'll pass a modifier as modifier dot fill max size, and we had some padding, and we will set that to medium spacing. Alright, let's also pass vertical arrangement, and we'll set that to arrangement center, and for the horizontal alignment dot center horizontally. Great. Now inside this column we will need first of all, let me show you an image. As you can see, this circle image will also be used, like for example here on the post item. So that's why I want to create it as a common component. Now come inside the common package and component package, and we're going to create a composable that we will name circle image. You can select file. This is a composable, of course, of the same name, circle image. We need a modifier. Alright, so we'll need an image URL to be loaded. Okay, that's nullable, and we can pass also a on click like so. Great. Now here I will need an async image. I will pass the model as image URL, and for the content description I will pass null. So here we need to add a modifier. We'll pass the modifier clip, that will be a circle shape. Oops. And make it clickable and call the onClick like so. Now for the placeholder, we'll first of all check if we are using light, if we are in light mode, and for that we can check material theme.color.isLight. In that case I will use painter resource, pass the ID. Let's first of all import this R, and you can call one of the drawable that we had, that is a light image placeholder. Now else we will pass painter resource r.drawable.dark image placeholder. Now these are the resources that I added here, dark image placeholder and light image placeholder, as you can see. Alright, one more thing that we'd like to pass here is the content scale, and we'll need to use content scale.crop. Great, we can close this circle image, then come inside our column. We're going to call that circle image, and for the image URL we'll pass follows user dot profile URL. Let me also pass a modifier dot size, and we're going to use 50dp. And whenever it is clicked, we are going to call on user click, like so. And we can pass at the follows user. Great. Now below this circle image, we need a text for the username, and we'll call follows user dot name, and for the style we're going to use material theme typography and subtitle 2. Okay, so I will set max line to be 1, and for the overflow we use ellipsis. Great, we can add some spacer here between the image and the username. So I will call modifier.height, and here I will pass small spacing, like so. And I want also a little bit of space between the name and the button, and for this I'm going to use medium spacing instead. Now below this we need a button. So if I go back here, now you can see that at this button we'll have some sort of state. Whenever the user has clicked this follow button, this will become an outline button with different title here, like for example following if the user has already clicked on this button. Now go back inside Android Studio, and inside our common component package I'm going to create one more composable, and that will name follows button. You can select file, this is a composable of the same name, follows button. You can name it whatever you want. So alright, so let's first pass a modifier, and now let's think on what we need for this button. So we first of all need a text in form of string resource, and also we'll need an onClick. Whenever the button has been clicked, we will inform the caller to handle that click. You can have a boolean to whether know if this is an outline button or not. So we'll pass is outline, and this is going to be a boolean, and we will set a default value to false. Alright, now inside here we're going to call the generic button, and for the onClick we'll pass onClick. Let me do this quickly. Alright, so we need to pass here modifier. So after passing the received modifier, we are also going to first of all change the color depending on whether it is an outline button or not. So we will check if is outline, and in that case we're going to call button default dot button outline button color instead. Else we're going to call button default whatever then. Okay, button default dot button colors. We're going also to change the border. If is outline, we'll call again button default dot outline button border, else we'll pass just a null like so. You can pass the elevation. We're going to set default elevation to 0 dp. So for that we can call again button default dot elevation, and for the default elevation we set that to 0 dp. This is now 0. Great, you can import a dp. Then for the content we'll just need a text composable. We need to call string resource, sorry, and the ID will be the text. And for the style we call a material theme dot typography dot button, yes, and I want to change something here. So we make a copy and we'll change the font size. So we're going to use 12 sp. You can import sp like so. Yeah, I think that's all. Do we need anything else here? I don't think so. So let's remove this. Now back inside our onboarding user item, we need to call the follows button. And for the text, we can create a new string resource. For that, we need to call r.string. Let's import r, of course. Like so. Then we can make follow button text. This is a string. I think I already created that. Okay, so for the onClick, I quickly show you. It just says follow. Okay, we need to call this on follow button click. On follow button click. Now let me bring this down. Now for the boolean, we're going to toggle if is following, and we'll pass our follows user for the second argument. Alright, so now let's add a preview. So down below here I'm going to quickly paste preview code. You can import that quickly. Like so, and import that sample users. Now let's rebuild and see if our design is great or not, if we need to make some changes. Alright, so I think the onboarding user item is great, but we can make this button take as much space as available. So we can pass here a modifier. Where is that? So modifier will be modifier.fill max width. Now let's see what it looks like. Yeah, I think that's great. That's almost what we wanted. So let's set the height. Let's just set the height to be, let's set the height in to be 30 dp. Because I think this is too big in height. Yes, I think this is really fine now. It pretty much looks like what we have. like what we have here. Now the onboarding user item is done. So let's see what we need to do next. Now, next we can build this onboarding user section. And for that, we'll need a list of users to show in an horizontal lazy row and some text here to explain what is going on here. So now if I go back, we can open. Now inside our onboarding of the home package, you can create a new composable and we'll name this onboarding section. And of course, we need a composable of the same name, onboarding section, from which we'll pass a modifier. Alright, so for this onboarding section, as you can see here, let's first of all have this users row in which we're going to display a lazy row of follows user. So for that, right below the onboarding section, I'm going to add a new composable that I will call users row. So let's pass a modifier as usual. Great. Now this users row will need a list of users. That's a list of follows users. So it will also take a user click on user click. We'll pass follows user, of course. I think it also, let's just copy this on follow button click and paste it here. So now here we need a lazy row. Alright, so we'll have an horizontal arrangement and we'll pass arrangement this one dot spaced by large spacing. So we need to pass content padding, the space between items, and for that we can call padding values. Horizontally we will need large spacing between items, and lastly we can pass a modifier. Now inside this lazy row scope we can call items, and the items will be the list of follows users. I will need a key, can call follow user user.id, and from here we can call the onboarding user item. So for the follows user we'll pass it, for the onClick we'll call on user click, and for the unfollow button click we also pass unfollow button click, like so. We are done with this users row. Next, let's go back inside our onboarding section. We need a column. Okay, like so. And we can pass a modifier. So we'll pass modifier.fill max width. Okay, then inside this column, we first of all need a text. That will be our onboarding title. We can call a string resource and create a new string resource that we will call onboarding title, like so. So let's import the R, and now we can create this onboarding title instead, who to follow. Okay, so I will pass a modifier fill max width, and we also need a padding, and we'll have a top padding of medium spacing, like so. So we can set the style to be material theme dot typography and use subtitle 1. So for the text align, we use text align center. Great. And below this onboarding title, we need text to explain. Okay, where is that? Posts from people you follow will appear here. Here are suggested people to follow. So we need this. Let me directly copy this. Now we need a text composable, and we'll create a new string resource r.string.onboarding. You can call this onboarding description. Let's create a new string resource and paste this like so. And we can set also a modifier. So we will do the same. Fill max width, padding horizontally. We'll set large spacing. For the style, sorry, we use material theme.typography and body 2, and text align we'll use center as well. Great. Now below this onboarding and description, you can add a spacer, modifier.height, or we can even use heighten, and we need to pass a large spacing. Now we need to call our users row, and we'll pass here. So we haven't that yet. Can we just get a list of users like so? Alright, so let's quickly pass all the parameter for this onboarding section, and we'll need this as well, and also a callback that we can call onboarding finish. Alright, so this will be called because we're going to have a button to, like, whenever a user has followed someone, then they can dismiss the onboarding section. So we'll have a button. It's not included in this design, I think, but we're going to have a button right below this users row to dismiss the onboarding. Alright, so for our users row, we'll pass the list of users. For the click, we call on user click, as well as the unfollow user click. Okay, so now right below this users row, we're going to have an outlined button. This is material, and for the on click, we'll pass onboarding finish, like so. So we're going to have a couple of things here. Let me quickly do this. So let's pass a modifier. So we'll call fill max width, and for the fraction, I want it to use 0.5f. I mean half of the width. Let's call align, and for the alignment we'll pass alignment dot center horizontally, and we'll pass a padding as a large spacing in the vertical. Alright, so we need also to pass to change the shape, and for this I'm going to use a rounded corner shape. Where is that? Okay, so percent will be 50. Then for the content we just need a text composable, and we're going to create a new string resource r.string dot onboarding done button. So just set this as done. Okay, so we can, let me just copy the preview from my demo project to not waste time. Okay, so I will paste that right here. We can import this. Alright, so let's reboot the app and see what we have achieved. Yeah, this seems what we need to achieve so far, as you can see from this onboarding section. I mean, this is exactly what we should have here. Let me show you in the dark mode. Alright, this one here. So the next thing that we're going to do, I think we're going to build this post list item. Then after this post list item, we'll put everything together inside this home screen. Great, so let me go back inside Android Studio and let's close all these. Alright, so for the post list item, I will go inside our common and then component package, and I'm going to create one Kotlin file that I will name post list item. You can select file and we'll need a composable of the same name, post list item. Let's pass a modifier. Great, now as you can see on the design, so I will divide this into 3 separate composables. We'll first of all try to build this post header, post list item header here, and we'll have also to build a separate composable for this likes section, and then we put everything together inside our post list item. So let me go back inside Android Studio. Right below this post list item, I'm going to have a new composable that I will call post header, post item header. So of course we'll pass a modifier. So we also need a name, that will be a string. We'll need a profile, a URL. We need a date in form of string, and we'll also observe an onProfile click whenever a user clicks on the name or the image. So for the onProfile screen, we need to use that as a callback. Okay, so now inside our post item header, we of course need a row. So for this row, we'll pass a modifier dot fill max width and padding Horizontally, we will use a large spacing, and vertically we use medium spacing. So for the vertical arrangement, for the vertical alignment, we call alignment dot center vertically, and for the horizontal arrangement, use arrangement dot spaced by medium spacing, like so. Great. Now inside this row, we first of all need to call our circle image, and we'll pass profile URL, and a modifier, we will pass modifier dot size, and we're going to use 30dp. We can import dp. For the on click, we call on profile click. Then we need a text composable for the username. We'll pass the name. For the style, we will use our material theme dot typography dot subtitle 2. So for the color, we use material theme dot color dot on surface. Great. And if I go in the design, you can see that we have this little dot that separate the name and the date. So for this, I'm going just to use a box, and I will set a modifier and dot size. I will use 40p for that. So let me quickly do this. And the clip shape, we use circle shape, and we'll set a background. The color will depend whether we are in dark or light mode. So let's check if material theme dot colors dot is light. In that case, we're going to use our light gray color, else we use a dark gray color. Now these colors are inside our color Ktor in the common and theming package. Where is that? Yeah, inside this color.kt file. Alright. Next we need to have a text for the date. And we can pass the style as material theme dot typography dot caption. Copy, because I want to modify. Oops. Okay, let me try to remove this. Okay, so we'll change, let's first set the text align to be start, font size to be 12 sp, we can import sp. So for the color, we will do the same as for so let's use light gray, else we will use dark gray, and lastly we'll pass a modifier. Alright, so we'll pass modifier the weight of 1. That means it will take the remaining space after we add these horizontal menu icon here. Because we are inside a row, I would like this to push this at the end of our row. Alright, so for this post item header, lastly we're going to add an icon, and for this we call painter resource how.drawable. We don't. Okay, let's import how first. Okay, horizontal round more. This is one of the icons that, yeah, this one here, round more horizontal. You can get them directly from my GitHub repository, like I said. For the content description, we'll pass none. And for the tint, so we'll do the same. Great, so I think we're done with this post item header. Now next, we can build this post likes row. I will call that as post likes row. So let me close this. Right below our post item header, we'll need one more composable post likes row, I'll call it, and we can pass modifier. So here we need also we need the likes count. We'll need a comment count. Let me call this. Alright, so we also need on a like click, and we can also take an on comment click. For the comment, we'll just navigate to the detail screen. Alright, so inside this post likes row, we of course need a row. So we'll set modifier. Where is that? Fill max width, and set some padding. Vertically we use 0 dp. Horizontally we will set that to medium. One more thing we need for our row is the vertical alignment. Center vertically. Great, now inside this row, we first of all need an icon button. So for this first one, we'll pass the on like click. And for the content of our icon button, we need an icon that we'll call painter resource r.drawable. Like icon outline. For the content description, we'll pass null. And for the tint, we'll do almost the same as, okay. Let's quickly check if material theme dot colors dot is light. We use light gray, else we use dark gray. So let me copy this because we're going to use that for the comment icon as well. Right, we need text for the number of likes count, and we're going to call likes count like so. So for the style, we need material theme dot typography dot subtitle 2. So we can modify this by changing the font size. Alright, so let me put argument like so. So we're going to change the font size, and we will use 18 sp. I think that will be fine. We need to have a spacer to separate the likes count and the comment icon. So modifier dot width, medium spacing, and now we need an icon button for the comment. So let's just copy this and this one also and paste them like so. So we're going to change here, and we call on comment click. We call this chat icon outlined, and here we're going to call the comments count like so. Okay, so now we're going back inside our post list item composable. So here we need to align everything vertically. So for that, we'll need a column. For the modifier, at first, fill max width. So I'll set this an aspect ratio of 0.7. I don't because I don't want to set a fixed height for this, because we may have larger screens, and that will just not have a correct result as what we would like to show actually. And even for the image inside our post list item, I will also set that to have an aspect ratio of 1. Alright, so I'm going to call next and the background, and I will set the color to use material theme.colors and .surface. I will make this clickable, and for the on click we need a on post click. So let's pass here the parameters. I forgot. So we first of all need a post, the post model. We also need a on post click that will take a post. Need a on profile click. Need a on like click. On comment click. And I need to add one more parameter here that I will call is detail screen, because I would like to show multiple lines for our description when we are inside post detail screen. So because I also want to reuse this post list item inside our post detail screen. So for that, I can have this is detail screen. That will be a boolean. I'll set to false by default. Alright, so on clickable, and we're going to call on post click. Great. Now inside this column, we need first of all to call our post item header. For the name, there we go, we'll pass post.author name. For the profile screen, we call post.author image. Can we, okay, so now for the date, we'll pass post.created at. So here we have the on profile click, and for that we're going to call just our on profile click, and we'll pass our post.author ID. Alright, so I think no, I don't think that, and this is what we want to pass. So let me see. Okay, we need on profile. Okay, so for this we'd like to pass. Should we pass? No, not here. We don't need to pass the user ID here, but we can pass that here. We can take that. I mean the user ID to which we want to navigate and see the profile. So for that, I will call on profile click. Then I will call our on profile click from this post list item, and we'll pass post.author ID. Great. Now below this post item header, we need to show the image. So async image, and the model will be post dot image. Yeah, image URL. And the content description will pass none. Right, so we need to pass the modifier, of course. Fill max width, and set the aspect ratio to be 1. The content scale to be crop. And let me copy quickly what we did inside our circle image for the placeholder, and paste that here for the placeholder. Alright, so below this async image, we want to call our post likes row. For the like count, we'll pass post dot likes count. For the comment count, we'll pass post dot comment count. For the on like click, we'll call on like click. Let me remove this. For the on comment click, we'll call on comment click, like so. Now below we need to add a text for the post description. So for that we need a text composable, and we'll call post dot text. For the style we use body 2. Okay, so let's pass also a modifier dot padding, and we set a horizontal padding to be large spacing. So for the max lines, we'll check if, and this is a detail screen, then we can pass like even 20 to make it as large as possible. And we want to use 2 lines for the overflow. We use ellipses. Great, so I think we are done with a post list item. So let me quickly copy the preview so that we can see if we didn't break anything. So I will paste the preview here. Let's import that quickly. Okay, so we change the name here, post item header, and this is not comment but comment count next. So alright, so let's put that in split mode and see how our design looks like. Yeah, right. So as you can see, the preview shows that our design is what we are expecting. This one here. Now I think we have all the pieces we want. Let's quickly work on our home screen and let's put everything together. So I'll go inside Android Studio and let me close this. Alright, so the first thing I want to do here is to remove the destination from this composable. Instead, we're going to create a new composable, and I will call this home. Okay, that way. So we can remove the destination from here to use that here, because that would be called home destination instead of home screen destination, because for the other screens like login and sign up we used the same way of doing things. Alright, so let me close this. Do we need to take something here? Yeah, like the navigator from our compose destinations library. And I'm also going to create one more Kotlin file, and that will be the home screen view model. Alright, so below I will need a post. We can call this post UI state. So this will have a is loading boolean. We will set to false by default. It will need also a list of posts. And we set the default as an empty list. And if we get an error, so we need to add an error message, a nullable string, and the default value will be null. So we also need an onboarding UI state that I won't directly create inside this home screen view model. Instead, I will put that inside this onboarding package. So let's create a new Kotlin file, and that we will call onboarding UI state. Select a data class. So it will have pretty much the same as the post UI state. Alright, so is loading false. We will have also here how do we call it, users, follows users. That will be a list of follows user. Not false. And we set that to empty list. We'll have also an error message in case there was an error loading onboarding users. Default value will be null, and I need one more feed here, and that will be called should show onboarding. This will be a boolean that I will set the default value to false, like so. Great. Now this should show onboarding is because if the user is not on his first time landing on our home screen, and he has already some users that he follows, so we will not need, we will not have to show this onboarding. Alright, so I will close this, come back inside our home view model. First of all, we will have our post UI state by mutable. Can use by mutable, not this, by mutable state of post UI state. We can import set and get value. We'll make this as private set. We also need the onboarding UI state by mutable state of onboarding UI state. Private set as well. Now we need to call this method inside our init. So I will have here a method that I will call fetch data. This will set up. This will first of all set the onboarding UI state is loading to true. The same for the post UI state. Then we can call our view model.launch. So here we'll make we'll simulate a delay of 1 second. Then we're going to call our onboarding and set some data. First of all, is loading false. Then for the followable users, what is that called? Okay, users, we call our sample users this one, and should show onboarding. We set that to true for now. And for the post UI state, we'll do pretty much the same, is loading to false. For the posts, we'll get our sample post. Alright, so now we can call this fetch data inside our init, and then Let's go inside our home.kt. We need to have the view model here. Okay, this is home screen view model, coin view model. And then we need to call our home screen. There we go. Now we need to pass some parameter for our home screen. Let's first of all call the onboarding UI state and then the post UI state. And we'll have also the same parameter as what we have for our, where is that? Post list item and also the onboarding section. Alright, so let me, where is that? First of all, okay, so we need an on post click, on profile click, comments. Go back inside our home screen and we'll paste that here. And inside our onboarding section, we need to grab this. And I will pass one more parameter that I will call on fetch data, or fetch data only, fetch data. Or we can call this fetch more data. This will be useful later, but we can declare that as well. So great, now inside our home screen we can quickly, since we're going to use pull refresh, for that we need a refresh state. So we call this pull refresh state, pull refresh state. And we need to call remember refresh state, pull refresh state instead. Okay, so for the refreshing we will need to set the condition, and that will be if the onboarding UI state is loading and the post UI state is loading as well. Alright, so for the on refresh we call fetch data, or let's just call this fetch data instead of fetch more data. We need to add the opt experimental material API on top of our composable. Great, and now for our box, after fill max size we need also to set pull refresh, and the state will be our pull refresh state. Great. Let's remove this text composable here. Alright, so inside here we first of all need a lazy column. And we'll pass modifier fill max size. Great, now inside this lazy column scope, let's first of all check if onboarding UI state that should show onboarding. So in that case we need to add an item. We can set the key for this and let's call this onboarding. Okay, onboarding section like so. And for this we'll call our onboarding section. And for the list of followable users we'll pass onboarding UI state dot users. For the on user click we'll call on user click. For the unfollow button click we'll call unfollow button click as well. And lastly, for the onboarding finish we call onboarding finish, like so. Great. And now below this item, no, not directly below this item. Now outside this if condition, we call items. So for the items, we'll pass post UI state dot post. We'll need a key, and we call post dot id. So right below, we'll need to call our post list item, and for the post, we will call it for the on post click, on profile click, and on like click also we've got that, and on comment click as well. Great. Now I need to remove this on user click because because that's almost the same as the on profile click. So I will instead call on profile click, and for the ID I will call it and dot id, like so. So we need a preview to see if we didn't break anything. So let me copy that from my demo project quickly. Right, so right below our home screen, I will paste the preview, and we can import all these quickly. Alright, so post UI state instead. For the on user click, we don't need that. Okay, this was called fetch data. So let's see what we get for our home screen preview. Out of date, repeat and refresh. Yes, of course we should have this error because we have moved the destination from the home screen composable to home, and let's remove that, and we need to fix. So wherever we have a mistake, can we have the home destination? Yeah, we'll need instead to call this home destination. So let me fix that quickly. Oh yes, and now that we have the home screen with a lot of, okay, so let me close this. Okay, now we need to pass all these parameters. So what is the last parameter is fetch data. So we'll need to call, let me just, okay, so let's remove that. Alright, so for the fetch data, we call view model dot fetch data. Now I forgot one thing, and that is below, what is that, below this lazy column. Okay, let's also wait for the preview. Now below this lazy column, we need the pull refresh indicator, and we can call that pull refresh. So pull refresh indicator, and for the refreshing, we call onboarding UI state dot is loading. Okay, so for the state we call pull refresh state. We also need here for the refreshing to call post UI state dot is loading. And we need to set that at the top center of our box. Top the center of our screen. For that, we need a modifier dot align. So we will call alignment top center. So let's wait for the build and see what we have as the preview. So okay, we have a blank screen here. So why do we have this? Oh yes, of course. We didn't pass any data for the onboarding UI state and the post UI state because, as you can see, we are passing empty list as default. So if we need to see something from our preview, we'll set the is loading to false. That's already false. So okay, so we need to pass the users to be our sample users. And also should show onboarding to true. And for the post UI state, we need to pass the list of posts and call our sample posts. Okay, this one. Okay, we have the onboarding section. Let's wait. Okay, now we have all the UI showing. So I think we are done with the home screen. Now we can run and test the app, and for that I would like to connect my device quickly. Right, so here is my device. Let's run and test the app. Now before we run the app, one more thing, sorry. So we need to go inside, what is that? Now we need to go inside our the I package, and inside our app module.kt we need a view model for our home screen view model. We need to go our home screen view model like so. I think that's all we need for now. Now we can run the app and see what we get. So the app is launching, so let's wait and see. There we go. So as you can see, we are getting this the follow section, the onboarding section, sorry, and some sample posts and data that we have here. And yeah, I think it's working without any problem. So next we are going to build the post detail screen. Yep, so I think we're going to stop here for now, and I will see you in next video, and take care. Bye.